everybody. We are here, myself and Mr. Simon Bates.
Hello.
To talk about the top 5 Rovner Alto Sax Ligatures. Exactly, exciting. And we've picked out the main 5 models. They do a vast range, but these are the big 5 that sell, essentially, lots of. And we're going to work from the Star series up through the Light, the Dark, the Mark III, and the Platinum, which is the metal one as well. So we're just going up in price order. We're not here to say one's better or worse necessarily, but hopefully with Simon demoing and his thoughts from the playing end of things, you're going to get a bit of a feel for what these ligatures play like. And the point is you can always try these at home. We offer them on a mail order. You can compare them back to back. And like all ligatures, it's all about just, they've got to work. You know, they've got to hold the reed nice and securely, haven't they? And Rovner, for many years, you know, on the scene, lots of guys use Rovners, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, I think if I'm honest, it was the name for alternative ligatures that I was aware of before any other. I think they've been around for quite a long time now, yeah. And
that longevity, you know, is a testament, as it were, to the quality of the products, because they do get used because they just really do what you need them to do without any fuss or over complications. So first up, let's get into it. This is the Star series ligature, and it comes with the cap, and it's the standard fabric design, 2 bars, big single screw. And Rovner mentioned this is just fairly free-blowing, bit of darkness, bit of brightness, and it's kind of an entry point into using a fabric-style ligature. And I think for the money, they offer exceptional value. But let's have a little listen. So first impression, Simon, from a playing point of view?
Yeah, it's a good all-round ligature. It's got a fairly dark tone. I would say that's because it's fabric. It's absorbing quite a lot of the reed vibration. But that said, it works really well at the bottom and the top. Does exactly what you'd expect a good ligature to do. It's nice and firm on the mouthpiece, so yeah. And
I mean, we've looked at some very expensive ligatures where perhaps over an engineering comes in. I think that's fair to say. And actually, they can be a bit fiddly if you're trying to adjust. And actually, just bog standard does absolutely everything you need. It's not going to fall apart in your hands. It's going to stay on, and it's going to get you used to just using this style of ligature, should we say. Yeah. So let's move on up the range, if we can, Simon. Okay. And what we're going to jump to is the Rovner Light. And there's 2 in this price point. There's the Light and the Dark. And the Light has this little cutout, whereas the Dark obviously doesn't, and that is it. That is the only difference. Other than that, the screw and the bars and everything else are the same. So we're going to start with the Light, if I'll just hand that over to Simon. Now, the principle there is that with that cutout, you've got less fabric actually touching the reed, and therefore, in theory, that should have less of a dampening effect, so it might lighten up the sound, so to speak, and have a little bit more resonance. And the Light and the Dark both come with a cap, and they were designed to fit most standard size ebonite mouthpieces, and they are the most popular ligatures that we sell, period.
Yeah, I think the beauty of the fabric ones is, not unlike the metal, they don't need to hug the shape of your mouthpiece to fit.
Yes, there's more flexibility there, isn't there?
Indeed.
Let's have a little listen to that then. So again, if we just move on from the Star to the Light, and we know it's very difficult necessarily to hear these very subtle differences, and that's why I want your opinion. Really.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's possibly a little less weight to the sound with this. It's a lighter sound. Yeah, it's odd because you'd expect it to vibrate more, but actually I think this seems to vibrate less. Maybe it's the tension I've got it at, I don't know. But
interesting.
It's not quite as... it feels like it's not quite as loud.
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't got quite the volume that I had with the Star.
Okay, yeah, no, that's good. Well, this is why you've got to try these things, and it's worth comparing the Light and the Dark back to back. That's what we generally recommend. So we'll just swap over onto the dark, and like I say, you can see that.
Oh, no, I'm giving you the reed.
I didn't want to read. It's all wet. And if you've had a metal ligature before with the 2 screws, the whole idea with these 1-screw jobs and the 2 bars is that it does just give an even pressure across the surface of the reed, so that there isn't any disparity between pressure points, which can make a reed jump a little bit, and that's when you can get...
Actually, if I take this off, an interesting feature is it's kind of flexible. It's got cuts across it as well. I don't know whether you've noticed that before, but you know, it means that it will hold the reed more securely. It's quite a good feature. I'd not noticed that.
There you go. So you could pay more attention, Simon.
I know, should do.
Well, we'll give this a try. Then we're going to move on to the Mark III, which is like a double-wrapped, different fabric as well. But let's just concentrate on this dark for a moment when you're ready, Simon. So, feelings again?
Yeah, it is a little darker, but my feeling is this has a bit more power than the
light.
Than the light.
Yeah, okay.
I've seen the light. It's
more depth, maybe, do you think?
More depth,
more bulk.
It's good at the bottom, it's good at the top. It's a nice ligature. Yeah, it does exactly what you kind of expect a ligature to do, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, let's try it compared to the Mark III, because the Mark III has kind of a double-wrapped internal bit of fabric there. So that, again, there's even more on it. That's the idea. They're sort of stepping up that quantity of material around it. And actually, it's a slightly different sort of a fabric. I don't know quite why there's a difference in that choice. I'm happy to be told that from anyone at Rovner who wants to tell me. I've never found a sensible answer. But they do feel different. There's more of a textured feel, isn't there, to that?
It's like one of those elastoplast things.
Yeah, whereas these feel a bit more vinyl-y.
They do, yes.
If you know what I mean. So let's have a little play and see what we think there. So with the Mark III, perhaps a little darker, denser, perhaps, leading you more towards that centre sort of feel? Yeah.
I mean, I hate to pigeonhole things, but, I think this is probably more at home in classical music. I feel like I can give it a little bit less than the dark, particularly dark. I think for me is...
nice compromise.
It's dark, but yeah, had the power and the warmth. This is warm, but it didn't have the oomph for me personally.
Yeah.
That said, it's a nice sound.
I mean, that doubling up of the material will darken and dampen a little bit. And yeah, maybe for you, like you say, that's at the limits of where you want to push past.
Yeah.
But it does depend on what you're doing. If you're playing in a particular fashion, that might be up your street. And the trick is with all of these, as we've said before, you've got to try them and see how you, in particular, get on.
Yeah.
Now, let's move on. This is the Platinum, which is at the upper end of the range. And obviously, the big difference here is this is a metal ligature compared to all the rest of these, which have been fabric. And just as we swap that, the theory is that you should put this with the screw at the front, unlike all these other ligatures where the screw has been on the top there. But I do know players, and Simon's had players as well, who actually flip it the other way around. So you can actually use it both ways, to be honest. It just very much depends on what you feel most comfortable with. But this one has clearly got its inspiration, I think I can say this, from things like the Van Doren Optimum, where you have these 2 heavy bars at the front and a big single screw as well. But obviously with a Rovner kind of twist and design.
Yeah.
So let's see how that varies. Yeah, different kettle of fish.
It is indeed, yeah. Much brighter, bigger sound. I guess what you'd expect from a metal, good quality ligature.
So when you push it, it's not pushing back. It's letting you go a little bit more.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So I think if you're after that and that freedom, it does very much depend on the reeds and the mouthpiece that you're using. Some people have more resistance built in on the mouthpiece or the reeds. You know, you might have a more classical setup or a more open setup, and you might want resistance from your ligature.
Yeah,
it's that trinity.
I think this is the point, that it's such a personal thing. You know, a ligature is going to colour your sound. It's going to affect how you play. It's going to possibly make you a better or worse player. So it's worth trying a few ligatures before you settle on the one you're going to use, because you know, it is amazing what a difference it can make.
Yeah, and in terms of against these that we've tried on the metal, if you're looking at things like that, we throw in the Van Doren Optimum. The BG Duo would be another one to check out. And if you're looking at the fabric ones, there's a BG Revelation, Super Revelation. There's also a Van Doren fabric one you can look at as well. So there, you know, it's probably an idea to try a couple fabric, couple metal, just to get a feel for where you're going, and then sort of zone it down a bit from there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, yeah, if you've got any questions on that or on the fitting or anything like that, do just drop a note in the comments, and obviously stay tuned for some more videos. But maybe, Simon, can you just play us out there on the Platinum?
Yeah.
Good man.